Before the throne of every empire, before the birth of every revolution, before every act of greatness that changed the course of human history, there was a decision, a thought, a silent spark in the mind of one person who refused to bow to limitation. Understand this: every war is first won or lost inside the mind. Every fortune, every invention, every transformation. It all begins with one law, the first and final law of achievement: control the mind, or be controlled by it. The battlefield is invisible, but the casualties are everywhere. Look around. People living in cages with the doors wide open, chained by doubt, paralyzed by fear, hypnotized by distraction. They've handed their minds to the world like unguarded treasure, and they wonder why they feel empty. But the truth? The truth is brutal and beautiful. Your mind is the only empire you will ever truly rule. And until you take command, you will be a servant to your emotions, to the opinions of others, to every passing fear disguised as logic. Napoleon Hill wrote, "You either control your mind or it controls you." There is no neutral, there is no middle ground. Every thought is building something or breaking something down. This is not just philosophy, this is the foundation of power. Let me ask you something. Have you ever wondered how one man, Thomas Edison, failed 10,000 times and still got up? How one man, Abraham Lincoln, lost elections, businesses, his loved ones, and still became a legend? It wasn't luck, it wasn't just talent, it was control, mental control. Edison didn't feed his mind failure, he fed it feedback. Lincoln didn't dwell in despair, he trained his mind to see purpose in pain. You see, life does not respond to your potential, it responds to your mindset. Your body follows your thoughts, your actions follow your beliefs, your results follow your expectations. So if you expect defeat, don't be surprised when it arrives. But if you expect victory, if you see it, feel it, believe it in the trenches of your soul, you become dangerous, you become undeniable. This isn't about positive thinking. This is about dominant thinking, thinking that bends reality to will. But to access that level, you must get out of the noise and go deep into the engine room of your mind. That's where the real work is done. Most people, they never enter that room. They decorate the surface of their lives, but they never dig. They avoid the silence, because in silence, the truth shows up. And the truth is this: your mind has been programmed since birth by fear, by tradition, by school, by media, by people who settled, and now want you to settle too. You didn't ask for those beliefs, but you live by them every day until you wake up, until you take back control. The greatest power you will ever possess is the ability to choose your thoughts, to hold a vision in your mind so vividly, so fiercely, that it begins to rewrite everything. Thoughts are not harmless. They are seeds, and every seed you allow into your mind is growing into joy or despair, into strength or weakness, into destiny or destruction. So ask yourself, what am I planting every day? What am I watering with my attention? Because whatever you focus on expands. Whatever you believe, you create. Not once, not sometimes, every single day. Let's be clear, no one was born with a powerful mind. They built it, brick by brick, thought by thought. Ford didn't just invent the car. He invented belief in himself when no one else did. He tuned out the critics, silenced the doubters. And when they said it couldn't be done, he said, "Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right." Carnegie wasn't handed power. He took it. He studied the minds of the successful like a religion. And then he sculpted his own mind with discipline and clarity. He didn't hope for greatness. He planned it. That's the level you must rise to, where the mind becomes a weapon, sharpened daily, protected fiercely, directed deliberately. Because when the mind is focused, the world obeys. Distraction is the enemy. It is the assassin of greatness, and it wears many masks. Comparison, approval, comfort, excuses. But its goal is always the same: to scatter your thoughts so you never gain power. And that's why control is so rare, because it demands vigilance, it demands solitude, it demands that you stand face to face with yourself and say, "I will not be ruled by impulse. I will not be seduced by comfort. I will not abandon my vision for temporary ease." It means mastering the art of saying no to habits that shrink you. No to people who drain you. No to thoughts that sabotage you. Control is not glamorous, it's silent, it's lonely, but it is sacred. It's the man who wakes up before dawn when no one sees. It's the woman who studies while others party. It's the mind that chooses focus over pleasure and builds something eternal. There is no such thing as accidental greatness. No man or woman stumbles their way into mastery. Because purpose doesn't show up for the weak-minded, it reveals itself to those who are ready to receive it. And readiness is not about waiting, it's about becoming. When the mind is under control, purpose is not something you find, it's something you unlock. It rises from within, from the whispers that only silence can reveal, from the longing you buried beneath routine and obligation, from the fire that never dies, no matter how long the world tries to smother it. That fire is your birthright, and your mind is the lens that either magnifies it into a burning force or smothers it with self-doubt and hesitation. You were not made to drift. You were made to direct, to aim, to pursue. But direction without control is chaos in disguise. That's why your mind must be disciplined before it can be dangerous. Discipline is not restriction, it is liberation. The liberation to act, to move, to follow through, regardless of emotion. You don't rise when you feel like it. You rise because you said you would. You show up when no one's watching. You execute when no one claps. You bleed for the vision no one else believes in. Because you've seen it. Because you've already lived it in the unseen corridors of your mind. That is what separates those who dream from those who deliver. That is what separates noise from power. Discipline is the bridge between thought and reality. And every day you cross it, you grow stronger, more lethal, more focused, because your dreams do not respond to feelings. They respond to action. And the mind, once trained, becomes a machine for movement. It calculates, it plans, it perseveres. It doesn't ask, how long will this take? It asks, how far can I go? You must become that relentless, because the world is relentless, and it will throw storms your way. Distractions, failures, betrayals, delays, you will be tested. Not once, not twice, but daily. But here is the truth. Life doesn't test your talent, it tests your mind. So, how do you respond? Do you break? Do you crumble when the weight increases? Do you retreat when the pressure rises? Or do you smile in the storm? Do you lean into the discomfort? Do you whisper to yourself in the darkness, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. This is where I sharpen. This is where I become the one no one saw coming. This is the philosophy of those who rise, of those who dominate, not from arrogance but from alignment. Alignment with something greater than themselves, a mission, a calling. A purpose so intense that failure becomes fuel, pain becomes proof, setbacks become signal, and all of it begins with the mind. Because if the mind can't handle pressure, the dream won't survive reality. You want power? Gratitude is power, not the kind printed on posters, but the kind that roots you when everything is shaking. Gratitude is mental dominance. It's the warrior who sees the battlefield and still chooses joy. It's the builder who sees the ruins and still sees the blueprint. It's the creator who thanks the storm for revealing what needed to break. Gratitude is not passive. It's a weapon, a shield against bitterness, a sword against doubt. Because when you control your mind, you don't wait for things to be perfect to feel powerful. You choose power regardless of the circumstance. You don't curse the rain. You learn to build in it. You don't fear failure. You welcome its lessons. You are not shaken by what shakes the world. Because your roots go deeper. Your vision goes further. Your mind goes higher. You begin to see what others miss. That adaptability is not a soft skill, it's a survival skill. Those who conquer don't resist change, they ride it. They shape it. They become water when the rocks refuse to move. Control the mind, and you become like the river. Never still, but always flowing. Never predictable, but always purposeful. When others panic, you plan. When others freeze, you flow. When others react, you rise. Because your control gives you perspective, and perspective is what turns chaos into opportunity, obstacles into stepping stones, loss into leverage. You cannot avoid the storm, but you can become the one who commands within it. Because the storm is not the enemy, your uncontrolled mind is. You want to lead? Then learn to learn. Because control doesn't mean rigidity. It means mastery over ego. It means the ability to listen, adapt, evolve. The mind is not a trophy, it is a tool, and every master sharpens their tool daily. They read, they reflect, they ask, they observe, not to look smart, but to get strong, to grow without excuse, to upgrade without delay. Because the mind you have today is not enough for the life you say you want. You must build the mind that matches the mission. Every day is a chance to grow that mind, to sculpt it, to challenge it, to break and rebuild it. So when the moment comes, the opportunity, the decision, the pressure, you are not guessing, you are not hoping, you are ready because you've trained for it, you've bled for it, you've earned the right to stand in power. Control without emotional mastery is a castle built on sand. You can train, you can learn, you can plan. But if a single word from a critic can shatter your focus, if a missed goal can crush your belief, then your mind is not yet yours. Emotional control is not the absence of feeling. It is the wisdom to rule those feelings before they rule you. You are not your anger. You are not your fear. You are not your doubt. You are the one who decides what those emotions become. Do they become fuel? Do they become silence? Do they become nothing? That's your power. Ego will tell you to react. Discipline tells you to respond. Pain will tell you to quit. Purpose tells you to rise. Fear will scream for safety. Vision whispers, "We are not done yet." This is where most break, not because the task was too great, but because they were never taught to master the storm within. You must build a stillness that cannot be stolen, a mindset that does not negotiate with weakness, a soul that does not panic when the world shifts, because the world will shift. It will pressure you, provoke you, test you. But those who lead, those who leave legacy, they move like mountains, unmoved, rooted, steady. They do not trade their power for momentary comfort. They do not hand their peace to the chaos of others. They are composed, not cold, just focused. Think of the greatest leaders: Lincoln, who carried a divided nation through blood and history; Mandela, who emerged from prison not with vengeance but vision. They were not praised for their emotion. They were revered for their control, for their restraint, for their clarity. Because in a world where everyone reacts, stillness becomes strength. You must become that rare, that composed, that unshakable. Not because you're numb, but because your mission is too sacred to waste on noise. And that leads us here, to silence, the most underestimated force on earth. Silence is not absence. Silence is presence. It's where power gathers. It's where dominance is born. The loudest are not the strongest. The strongest are too busy building. They do not explain. They execute. They do not perform. They prepare. While the world posts, they produce. While the world talks, they transform. Real power does not beg to be noticed. It demands results in silence. It reshapes the world, not with noise, but with undeniable evidence. And that is where your legacy will be written, not in what you promise, but in what you prove. You want to control the mind? Then get comfortable with being misunderstood. Get comfortable with being overlooked. Get comfortable with being the only one clapping for yourself. Because that is the proving ground. That is where warriors are made. That is where kings and queens are forged, not in the spotlight, but in the shadows. You do not need validation to rise. You need vision. You need discipline. You need resilience. The world will not announce your arrival, but it will feel your impact, one decision at a time, one day at a time, one silent, relentless step at a time. You were not born average. You were trained into mediocrity by a system that feared your potential. But your mind, once reclaimed, is unstoppable. It becomes the architect of your life, the general of your habits, the author of your destiny. And when you truly master it, you don't chase the world. You create one. So now ask yourself, will I rule my mind, or will I let it rule me? Will I conquer the noise or be consumed by it? Will I wait to be chosen, or will I choose myself? Because the throne is empty and your crown is waiting. But only one question remains. Will you rise? Will you control the mind, and conquer the world?